folks, I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. What I want to talk to you about this morning is a single tool called the gouge. And the gouge is used for making concavities in wood. I put some footage at the beginning of this video of me carving out a spoon bowl with a hand-forged gouge that I had made over here in my shop. And gouges can be very expensive depending on the brand that you buy. Just to give you an example of price ranges, you can get gouges from about $30 if you're buying them, all the way up to over $100, depending on the type of gouge you're buying and who made that gouge or what company makes that gouge, just like anything else. So a gouge that's hand forged, like the one that I made, other than costing about half an hour, 40 minutes of my time, was relatively cheap, well less than $10. I have a gouge that is a Japanese gouge made by Grizzly, which is an imported gouge, and it's a fairly inexpensive gouge. It only costs about $27 on Amazon, maybe $28. But it's a very good tool for what it costs. And then I also have gouges by companies like File, which is a Swiss company, and these are a premium woodworking tool, and they're more like $60 to $70, depending on the style of gouge that you buy. Now, the unimportant thing for a video like this is that gouges come in different sweeps and different widths. So depending on what size gouge you're buying, like this one says 9 by 25 sweep, and that means it's a number 9 sweep, 25 millimeters wide. What I would be looking for a universal type gouge, if I only wanted to carry the one, I'd be looking for a straight gouge in about something between 5/8 and 3/4 of an inch in width. And that's about what I made when I hand forged my gouge, or something just a little over a ½ inch wide, and something with a pretty decent sweep on it. It's probably not number 9, it's probably more like a number 7. And that's just how deep the concavity is. The sweep is how deep a concavity that gouge has in it. But a gouge is a very handy tool to carry, even if you're only carrying one in your tool roll, your tool kit, because it makes making concavities in wood very simple. And it's not only for making spoons. A lot of people would say, well, I don't even need to make a spoon. And you really don't. It's just something to do in camp to keep your mind occupied, or something cool that you can do as a woodcraft project. But other things that you can do with the gouge, as far as hollowing wood, can be very important, because it allows you to do lots of things that a knife won't do near as fast, that you'll never do with an axe or a saw. So the gouge is a separate tool altogether that will do things for you that no other tool will really do effectively and near as quickly as a gouge, if you're only going to carry the one tool. Containers are much easier to make with a gouge than they are ever going to be to actually burn out or try to carve out with a knife and an axe. And the larger version of a reverse gouge would be an adze. An adze is a large, deep swept, upside down gouge, basically, that you are cutting wood out of to make a large container with, all the way up to and including a dugout canoe. And I've got videos on my site already on how to make an adze from a single blade, how to forge one of those. And I've also used a hammerhead to forge an adze and showed that as well, how to make an adze that you can carry as a tool like that. But a gouge is a very small, lightweight tool that you can carry that will do a lot for you. And it's good to think about these things and have these things at least in a longer term kit scenario where you've got a box of tools that you're carrying because you have conveyance. A gouge is a very good tool. So let's talk about these real quick, and I'm going to show you some up closes of them. I know I gave you an up close view of the gouge that I hand forged at the beginning of this video, but I also want to show you the other two fairly up close. So I've just got a piece of 1x material here in pine clamped to this table, and I drew it on here with marker so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. But any of these gouges will work, and the good thing about a gouge versus some type of a hook knife, and hook knives are very popular for making bowls and concavities too, although when you get into a deeper trough type bowl, a hook knife is probably not going to do near as good a job for you as a gouge. The advantage to the gouge is that it can be used in conjunction with a mallet, so that you can actually hit the backside of that gouge with a mallet or a baton. It's made for that, so that you can get a better bite into the wood when you first start. But you can also do it by hand, easy enough. And you can waddle the gouge a little bit if you need to, or you can smack it with the back of your hand. Either way will work. Now this is an expensive Swiss gouge, and it does a very, very good job, but it's really not that much better for the money I don't think, than something like this Japanese gouge, which does a fine job as well. Let's get this over here a little bit so it's not moving around on us so much. And I can just palm the back of that, and it works very well just like that as well. I got to tell you that if I'm not going to hand forge a gouge, something like this $25 gouge right here works really, really effectively for what it is and what it costs. I would rather hand forge one, but this thing right here will definitely do the job, no question about it. The important thing with a tool like a gouge, just like any other tool, is really more about how you maintain it and how sharp you keep it than it is anything else. And you can see there's a little deeper bite with this Swiss gouge, and the main reason for that is the sweep. It's got a lot deeper sweep on it than this gouge does. In other words, this concavity is much steeper. But the steepness of that gouge sometimes lends itself to being a problem when you get deeper in something like a bowl or a trough, where less of a sweep or less of a concavity in the gouge will not give you those problems. But all of these gouges work really, really well for what they are, for sure. And you just have to take your time. And then here's the one that I forged again. The good thing about a gouge is it makes pretty quick work of this stuff. So you're not going to spend near as much time messing around to get something like this done with a gouge as you might with another tool. A gouge will get it done quickly and effectively for you. And again, you know, a spoon bowl is a small example of what a gouge will do for you, because you're showing that the tool makes a concavity. But that concavity could increase in size to make a full-on container. Containers being one of the most important survival tools. And I think that's the important aspect of looking at something like a gouge is, what will that tool do for me? Again, weight versus rate. How much is that weight going to do for me as far as making things and fashioning implements goes? Well, I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School, and I appreciate you guys joining me for this really quick video, just a short beat on gouges, what you should expect to pay for them, and what the usefulness of them is within your kit, especially longer term. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our business, for our family, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.